He may not see it right away, but the moment a man wounds a good woman, something shifts, not just in her, but in life itself. Because when you mistreat the one who gave you her loyalty, her softness, her belief in you, the universe responds. That pain changes her. It hardens her heart, raises her standards, and awakens a version of her you'll never get close to again. And while he might feel powerful in the moment, what follows is a quiet storm, one he'll regret ever causing. This is not a tale of mere anger or fleeting sadness. It is about the profound, often unseen, chain of consequences that unfurls, touching not only her life but inevitably his own. Many believe they understand this dynamic, but they often only see the surface ripples. Today we go deeper. We will uncover the almost inevitable sequence of events, the internal shifts, the eventual reckonings, and the final insights. We will explore the lessons that emerge from the ashes of such pain are perhaps the most crucial for anyone seeking to understand the true nature of love, loss, and the unwavering law of cause and effect. Do not turn away, for the wisdom gained here can illuminate your own path, whether you have been the one hurt, the one who caused hurt, or merely an observer of life's intricate dance. This understanding is a precious thing. The heart of a good woman is a tender thing, yet it possesses a resilience that can astound. When it is bruised, when trust is shattered, the initial impact is invariably one of profound disorientation. It is as if a carefully tended garden, full of vibrant life and nurtured expectations, has been struck by an unexpected frost. The first consequence then for the woman is an encounter with a maelstrom of raw, bewildered pain. This is not a simple sadness, it is a multifaceted ache. There is the searing sting of betrayal, the chilling realization that the person she believed in, the reality she trusted, was perhaps an illusion, or at least not what it seemed. This betrayal cuts deeper than any single action, for it attacks the very foundation of her ability to trust, not just him, but potentially her own judgment. How could I not have seen, she might ask herself, the question echoing in the lonely chambers of her heart. Confusion becomes a constant companion. She replays conversations, re-examines memories, searching for clues she might have missed, for a sign that could have warned her. This mental churning is exhausting, a desperate attempt to make sense of the senseless, to find logic in an act that often feels devoid of it. Her sense of self can take a significant blow. A good woman often invests deeply, she gives generously of her spirit, and when that offering is met with hurt, it can lead her to question her own worth. Am I not lovable? Am I not enough? These insidious whispers, born of pain, can temporarily obscure her inherent value. She might internalize the blame, believing that if only she had been different, more understanding, less demanding, more something, less something else, the outcome would have changed. This self-blame is a heavy cloak, and it is one of the first burdens she must eventually learn to set down. The world, for a time, may lose its color. The joy she found in everyday things can feel muted, her energy depleted. The future she had envisioned, a future intertwined with his, now lies in ruins, a landscape of broken promises and unfulfilled dreams. This is a period of grieving not just the loss of the man or the relationship as it was, but grieving the loss of innocence, the loss of a particular vision of her life, and the loss of the part of herself that was invested in that vision. Sleep might be elusive, or it might be an escape. Tears may flow freely, or they may be locked away behind a wall of forced composure. This initial phase is a descent into shadow, a necessary journey through the valley of her pain. It is a testament to the depth of her capacity to love, for only those who love deeply can hurt so profoundly. But a good woman, though she may bend in the storm of such hurt, possesses an innate wellspring of strength. After the initial tempest of pain and confusion, after the tears have watered the parched earth of her heart, a new season begins to dawn, albeit slowly. This is the journey of healing, of reclaiming, of quiet, unyielding growth. It is often in these moments of profound brokenness that the seeds of her most significant transformation are sown. She begins, piece by piece, to gather the fragments of herself. It is not a swift process, nor is it linear. There will be days when the sun feels warm on her face, and days when the shadows return, threatening to engulf her. Yet with each small act of self-care, with each moment of honest reflection, with each affirmation of her own worth independent of him, she rebuilds. She learns to sit with her pain without being consumed by it, to observe it as a passing storm rather than an eternal state. She may seek solace in trusted friends, in nature, in creative expression, or in spiritual practice. These become anchors in the turbulent waters. Crucially, she begins to learn profound lessons. The hurt, as unwelcome as it was, becomes a teacher. She learns to recognize the subtle red flags she might have overlooked in her eagerness to love and trust. She develops a keener sense of discernment, a more robust understanding of what healthy love looks like and what it absolutely does not. Her boundaries, perhaps once soft or porous, begin to solidify. She learns that no is a complete sentence, that her needs are valid, and that her well-being is a non-negotiable priority. She discovers a fierce protectiveness over her own heart, not a hardened shell, but a wise gatekeeping. Through this crucible, her empathy may deepen, not just for herself, but for others who have suffered. Yet her tolerance for disrespect diminishes significantly. She is no longer willing to make excuses for poor behavior, no longer willing to shrink herself to fit into spaces where she is not cherished. A quiet power begins to emanate from her, a power forged in the fires of her own healing. She rediscovers her passions, her interests, the parts of herself that may have been neglected or overshadowed in the relationship. Her laughter, when it returns, is more resonant, her joy more authentic, because it is rooted in her own resilient spirit, not dependent on external validation. She emerges not unscathed, for scars remain as testament to her journey, but undeniably stronger, wiser, and more deeply connected to her own intrinsic worth. She becomes a woman who knows her value, not because someone told her, but because she has walked through fire and found herself still standing, more luminous than before. This journey of healing and self-discovery is a profound chapter in her story. But what of the man who set these events in motion? His path, though seemingly different, carries its own inevitable consequences. And it's often in observing his trajectory that we understand the deeper, more lasting impact of his actions. Stay with me, for the way his story unfolds often reveals a truth many are reluctant to see, a truth about the echoes of choices made. Now let us turn our gaze to the man who inflicted the hurt. In the immediate aftermath of his actions, his experience can be quite different from hers. If the hurt was a result of his deliberate choice to end the relationship, or if it stemmed from a pattern of carelessness he was unwilling to change, he might initially feel a sense of relief, even a misguided sense of freedom. He may have extricated himself from a situation that, for whatever reason, he no longer desired or felt capable of maintaining. This relief can be deceptive, a temporary reprieve from the complexities or demands he perceived in the connection with the good woman. He might engage in denial or minimization. It wasn't that bad, he might tell himself, or she's too sensitive, or she'll get over it. This is often a defense mechanism, a way to avoid confronting the true extent of the pain he has caused, and thus to avoid confronting his own shortcomings or the moral weight of his actions. It is easier to believe the problem lay with her reactions than with his conduct. He may quickly seek distractions, new activities, new company, perhaps even a new relationship. This rush to move on is often an attempt to outrun the uncomfortable feelings of guilt, shame, or emptiness that might be lurking just beneath the surface. By creating noise and activity, he can temporarily drown out the quieter, more insistent voice of his conscience. In some instances, especially if his ego is fragile or his understanding of relationships is superficial, he might even harbor a fleeting sense of having won or having cleverly navigated a difficult situation to his own advantage. He sees her pain perhaps, but interprets it as a sign of her weakness or his power, rather than as a reflection of the depth of the bond he has broken or the trust he has violated. This is a shallow victory, however, built on a misunderstanding of true strength and genuine connection. He may believe he has simply shed a burden, unaware that he has also discarded a treasure. This initial phase for him can be characterized by a superficial calm or a restless pursuit of novelty. He is often not yet in a space of genuine reflection. The immediate consequences of his actions are largely external to his deep inner self. He has changed his circumstances, but he has not yet grappled with the change within himself that his actions might necessitate or reveal. He is like a man who has chopped down a beautiful, fruit-bearing tree in his own garden, feeling a momentary satisfaction at the effort without yet realizing the shade he will miss, the fruit that will no longer nourish him, and the barren space he has created. The true accounting for his actions rarely comes in this initial period of perceived liberty. It is a seed that often takes time to germinate in the soil of his awareness. But time, as it always does, continues its relentless march. And just as the good woman embarks on her journey of healing and rediscovery, the man too begins to encounter a different set of consequences, often more subtle and delayed, but profoundly impactful. This is where the true weight of his actions begins to settle, often when he least expects it. This is the phase of dawning realization, the slow, creeping understanding of what was truly lost. And this, my friends, is often the most poignant part of the story, for it speaks to the enduring value of genuine connection and the hollow echo of its absence. As the good woman, fortified by her healing, begins to thrive, to radiate her newfound strength and peace, her light often becomes a mirror reflecting what he let go. He may see her from a distance, perhaps through mutual acquaintances or the impersonal window of social media, and observe her genuine happiness, her engagement with life, her resilience. He sees that her world did not end with his departure. In fact, a new, perhaps even more vibrant, world has begun for her. This can be a stark and uncomfortable realization. The narrative he might have told himself that she was dependent on him, that she wouldn't cope without him, begins to crumble. He sees her not as a victim, but as a survivor, and perhaps as someone who is now thriving in ways she didn't when she was with him. Simultaneously, the distractions that once seemed so effective for him may start to lose their allure. New relationships, if pursued quickly and superficially, may feel hollow in comparison to the depth, the sincerity, and the genuine care he once received from the good woman. He might find himself comparing new partners to her, not in terms of superficial traits, but in terms of her integrity, her kindness, her unwavering support, the very qualities he may have taken for granted or failed to fully appreciate. The easy comforts he sought might prove to be fleeting, unable to fill the void left by a connection that had real substance. A sense of loneliness can begin to creep in, a loneliness that isn't about being physically alone, but about lacking true, meaningful connection. He might be surrounded by people, yet feel an inner emptiness, a longing for the kind of understanding and acceptance he once so carelessly discarded. The memory of her goodness, her patience, her unwavering love, once perhaps perceived as a given or even a weakness, now starts to appear in its true light, as a rare and precious gift. Guilt, if it was successfully suppressed, may begin to surface. Not just a fleeting pang, but a deeper, more persistent ache of regret. He might replay his own actions, his words, his neglect, and see them with a clarity that was previously obscured by defensiveness or immaturity. He may begin to understand the true impact of his behavior, not just on her, but on his own character, his own capacity for love. This isn't always a dramatic road to Damascus moment. More often, it's a slow erosion of his previous certainties, a growing awareness of a significant misstep, a profound loss authored by his own hand. He might find himself wondering, what if? He might feel a longing to apologize, to make amends, though often by this stage, the opportunity for genuine reconciliation has passed, or the woman in her strength has rightly moved beyond needing his validation. This period of delayed realization is the universe's subtle way of teaching. He is now experiencing the natural consequence of devaluing something truly valuable. The absence of her goodness in his life begins to speak more loudly than its presence ever did when he failed to cherish it. This dawning awareness, this quiet wrestling with regret and the ghost of what was, is a critical juncture for the man. It can be a catalyst for profound personal growth, or it can become a source of enduring sorrow if the lessons remain unlearned. And how this impacts his ability to connect in the future is a story in itself, revealing the long shadow that such actions can cast. This truly is where the invisible becomes visible. The ripples of hurting a good woman extend far into the man's future, particularly affecting his subsequent relationships and his own capacity for deep, trusting connections. If the man does not engage in genuine self-reflection, if he fails to understand the root causes of his behavior and learn from the pain he inflicted, he is likely to carry the baggage of this unresolved experience into new interactions. This baggage is not always visible, but it is heavy nonetheless. He might find himself repeating patterns. If his actions stemmed from a fear of intimacy, an inability to commit, or a tendency towards selfishness, these traits, unaddressed, will inevitably resurface in new relationships. He may unconsciously sabotage connections that begin to deepen, fearing a repeat of past perceived failures or discomforts, or simply lacking the skills to navigate mature partnership. The ghost of the good woman he lost and the unspoken awareness of his role in that loss can create an undercurrent of anxiety or an inability to fully invest himself again, fearing he will either hurt someone else or be confronted with his own inadequacies. Trust can become a two-way casualty. A diminished capacity for joy in relationships, a persistent feeling of something missing, an inability to find the depth of connection he might now, belatedly, crave. He might attract partners who mirror his own unhealed aspects, leading to further cycles of dissatisfaction or conflict. The universe has a way of presenting us with the lessons we need to learn again and again until we finally choose to learn them. If he does learn, however, the experience can be transformative, albeit painful. The profound regret, the understanding of the value of the good woman he lost, can become a powerful motivator for change. He might develop a deeper empathy, a greater respect for the feelings of others, and a commitment to being a better man, a better partner. He might learn the importance of communication, accountability, and cherishing the gift of genuine love. This is the more hopeful path, but it requires humility, courage, and a willingness to face uncomfortable truths about himself. Without this inner work, he risks a future of serial disappointments, shallow connections, and a life where the warmth of true, reciprocal love remains an elusive dream, always just out of reach, a persistent echo of what he once had and failed to honor. The quality of his future connections is often a direct reflection of the lessons he has or has not integrated from the pain he caused. And so, we arrive at the final chapter of this unfolding story, a chapter that belongs entirely to the good woman. After weathering the storm, after navigating the arduous path of healing and self-discovery, what becomes of her? This is where the truest, most inspiring consequences of this entire painful saga are revealed. Her ultimate trajectory is not one of bitterness or perpetual victimhood, but one of profound, quiet triumph and enduring peace. Having integrated the lessons from her pain, she emerges with a clarity and wisdom that become her guiding stars. The hurt, once a source of immense suffering, is transmuted into a deeper understanding of herself, of others, and of the sacredness of genuine connection. She no longer seeks validation from external sources, for she has cultivated an unshakable sense of her own worth from within. Her heart, though bearing the etchings of past wounds, is not closed. Instead, it is more discerning, more capable of loving deeply yet wisely. She learns to trust her intuition, that quiet inner voice that once might have been drowned out by hope or desire. Now it speaks with authority, guiding her towards connections that are nourishing, respectful, and reciprocal. She often finds a happiness that is more profound and sustainable than what she knew before, because it is built on a foundation of self-love and authenticity. This happiness might be found in a new partnership with someone who sees her, values her, and cherishes her goodness. This new love, when it arrives, is often characterized by a mutual respect, an emotional maturity, and a shared understanding that she now knows she deserves. Or her happiness might blossom in a life rich with purpose, passion, and deep connections with friends and family, a life where romantic partnership is a welcome addition rather than a desperate necessity. She realizes that her completeness does not depend on another. The memory of the man who hurt her may linger, not as an open wound, but as a reminder of her own resilience, her capacity to overcome, and the lessons learned. There might be a quiet sadness for what was lost or for his inability to cherish what was offered, but it is a sadness free from the sharp edges of anger or the heavy weight of regret for her own actions. She understands that his actions were a reflection of his own limitations, his own journey, his own unhealed parts, and ultimately had little to do with her inherent lovability or worth. This realization is profoundly liberating. She radiates a certain peace, a quiet confidence that is magnetic. She has walked through darkness and emerged into her own light, and that light draws to her experiences and people who resonate with her elevated state of being. Her capacity for joy is amplified, her appreciation for the simple beauties of life heightened. She becomes a beacon for others, perhaps unconsciously, demonstrating that it is possible not only to survive profound hurt, but to transform it into a catalyst for extraordinary growth and a deeper, more meaningful existence. And this, perhaps, is the most vital understanding to take away from this entire exploration. The good woman's ultimate peace and flourishing are the most powerful consequences of all. For the man, the lasting consequence, especially if he remains unawakened, is the enduring knowledge of the goodness he failed to cherish, a goodness that not only survived his actions but blossomed in spite of them. The most profound learning from this entire cycle is the irreplaceable value of a good heart and the deep, often delayed, cost of not honoring it, a cost that is paid not in drama or revenge, but in the quiet currency of his own diminished capacity for true and lasting peace if he fails to learn. Her light shines on, a testament to her enduring spirit, while he is left to navigate the echoes of his choices. May we all strive to be the ones who cherish goodness in ourselves and in others, for that is where true joy and lasting connection are found. Thank you for sharing this time of reflection.